Well, we kind of knew this wasn't going to happen, but that's how desperate the Detroit Lions are for a pass rush, that I'm looking at everybody. But the more this saga went on, the less likely it was that this individual was going to become a Detroit Lion. And now, although I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, and still do to some extent, the reports are not looking good for Haason Reddick. And it looks like that door is going to be shut on for Reddick and the Detroit Lions. Now, he'll probably get traded. He'll go to Baltimore. He'll go to Kansas City. He'll go to Dallas or somewhere like that. He'll go to a team for sure. But one team he most likely will not be a part of is the Detroit Lions. Now, Haason Reddick was dropped by his creative agency a couple of days ago. And it just was nasty. It was like coming from Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport said that there have been people trying to, remember I said that Haason Reddick was starting to give me Everson Griffin vibes. And if you are familiar, if you know, you know. And said that Haason Reddick, his family was talking to him. The Jets were talking to him. His agent was talking to him. And apparently this creative team was talking to him as well, just saying, talk to these guys. So I guess he ghosted his creative partners, and they wind up dropping him because he had shut the door on communication between the two. And again, it's kind of got those Everson Griffin things kind of written all over it. A great pass rusher, but I'll just leave it at that. So now you've got that. You've got the holdout. You've got all of that stuff. And then on top of that, you have the fact that, according to Bleacher Report, Haason Reddick is being accused of not paying a business partner, but that's not the worst part. In a lawsuit, the former business partner or business partner is saying that Haason Reddick, they're claiming intimidation. Here is what Bleacher Report had to say. Says New York Jets edge rusher Haason Reddick is facing a lawsuit from a business partner who alleges he withheld money from a sale in a senior home care endeavor they had invested in, according to the party. Abraham Gutman of the Philadelphia Inquirer said, in the suit, he's entitled to more than $1.6 million based on an agreement he made in 2021 with Reddick. Says Reddick contracted the services of Kahn's Kingdom Health Services to handle marketing and business development for Haven Home Health, Triple H, services. Kahn claimed the company was operating at a loss with 0 patients and subsequently found stronger financial footing. Haven was sold for $1.2 million in April. Now, there's one thing, just whatever happened with the business deal and things like that, everybody, that's one thing. So again, you've got the holdout, you've got kind of like these weird vibes that I'm starting to get from Haason Reddick. I don't like to use the word weird because I don't think it's anything wrong with being quote unquote weird, but these vibes that just aren't sitting right with me and Haason Reddick. And here's the worst part of this whole thing. It says, beyond not paying Kahn, the plaintiff alleged that Raymond Matthews, Reddick's father, brought security to a meeting they had about Reddick upholding his end of their agreement. Says Mr. Matthews, which is again Haason Reddick's dad, brought over more than a dozen black glove men, the black suits, the men in black, to a business meeting, claiming they were Haason's personal security. Kahn said in court papers this was at this post-sale meeting that Mr. Matthews made it clear they intended to breach their payment obligations to Kingdom. Now, this is alleged to be Haason Reddick's dad who did this stuff. Again, I don't know about you, but I can't control my father. But the lawsuit is claiming that Haason had something to do with it, that his personal security, even though his security was with his dad, it does not say in this article that Haason was there, but his security was there with his father, and they had black gloves on. And I guess the vibe that they were giving off is that intimidation vibe, basically a threatening vibe to the other party. Whether or not Haason Reddick was in on this or not, this is not a good look for him, his team, his agent, anybody involved with this whole thing. And that is the point. that if there was any chance that the Detroit Lions were remotely looking in his direction, this shuts the door on that whole thing. Haason Reddick was a guy that before all of this, that initial trade to the New York Jets, it's like, man, that would have been a guy that you would love to have on the team. But then things just got nasty and awkward and, for lack of a better term, a little out there. The Detroit Lions will pass on this. They probably always were. But when you have a team that is desperate, we just saw Woody Johnson, after firing Robert Saleh, makes a plea to Haason Reddick to come back. That when he does come back, they'll have open arms. I'm not sure he plays this season. There's no way that he just turncoats and plays. Again, it's giving me those Everson Griffin vibes of just something is not quite right with this whole thing. And now you've got a lawsuit and alleged intimidation and all this stuff. Although it does not directly say Hassan was there, this is the Detroit Lions, man, they just going to step away. They just going to step away from this whole thing. So Haason Reddick will probably be on the team before the year is out. I think the Jets, as the trade deadline approaches, the Jets are just going to be like, you know what? Because now at this point, there is irreconcilable differences. It's like going to court and you get that in front of the judge and you just can't repair this thing. So he will not be a Jet, I would assume, by the trade deadline, but he also will not be a Detroit Lion. It was a long shot anyway. And the more every day that passed, he's racked over, I think it said $5 million. I think he loses almost $1 million a game. And if you're willing to leave that on the table, I mean, either you are a great investor, which I'm not too sure. You've got mad saving skills. I mean, this dude is rich, right? So he should have money that he should have security, where obviously if he's thinking things through, but that's the thing. Now you start to question the mental state too. And that's what I meant about Everson Griffin. Great player, probably a great guy, but you start to wonder about the mental state of these players. And is it something more going on? And even if Hassan is something else happening that we don't know about, I just don't see the Detroit Lions now. It is a done deal. Haason Reddick will not be part of this team, not after what that is. Again, it was a long shot, but every day that passes, it got less and less likely. And this dude could be out of the league by the end of the year. Real talk. But I think that the Jets will jettison him, pun intended, to another team, probably a contender, maybe somebody in the NFC, possibly. I think at this point, not only is the relationship irreparable, he's a headache now. He's a headache, and it's time to get rid of him. So that's a headache that the Detroit Lions are not going to want. And as much as you can give me on the field, again, this is all accusations. I'm not there. I don't know. Hassan could have nothing to do with this, but the Detroit Lions are probably going to pump the brakes or fall back, even if they were remotely interested in bringing this guy here. So it's unfortunate. Promising career. Still doing his thing. Great pass rusher, will be a great asset to a team on the field, but just can't get it together. It's sad because when players go down this road, their career is never the same. It's never the same. Le'Veon Bell, there have been numerous players who have set out for a year, and it seems like their career is never the same. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm sure that we would all pass on Hassan at this point. Reminds me a little bit of the Jalen Carter situation, where it was just too much going on with him that I don't think the Detroit Lions would go anywhere near him. I think the holdout was one thing. I think Matthew Judon, like if you look at the difference, Matthew Judon and Haason Reddick, it had like a similar trajectory, but Hassan did not show up. Matthew did. Matthew said all the right things. Hassan is silent. I mean, he's literally not said anything to anyone. And then Matthew Judon was traded and is doing what he can in Atlanta, even though I think they have one of the worst pass rushes still in the National Football League, even with Matthew Judon, who's kind of making plays over there. I've seen some tip balls and creating some havoc. So I don't know, man, but Hassan, he got to do something because he's losing money. He's being sued. He's not playing. It's not looking good for his future beyond the New York Jets. And he cannot be traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. He would have to be cut by the Jets. I can see the same. I mean, just put in the comments below. Doesn't it feel like Everson Griffin like 2.0? Because remember, Everson Griffin was one of the only guys. It was two people the year. If you guys go back, let's go back a few years. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Everson Griffin was one of my favorite pass rushers. I've always loved the pass rusher position. He was one of my favorite pass rushers for what he did on the field. And he used to destroy the Detroit Lions. Well, there was a year that out of all the players in the National Football League, Everson Griffin and another individual were the only two players in the National Football League that if they met a certain criteria, they could opt out of their contract. And one of the things was game played, snaps, sacks, that stuff. So Everson Griffin opts out of that contract with the Minnesota Vikings. He's a free agent. He winds up going to sign with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys traded him mid-season, and he wound up playing. That was back in the COVID days where you had to, if you got traded or you went to a new team, you had to sit out a week. So they traded him at the trade deadline to the Detroit Lions. He played 7 games for us. I think he got 2.5, 3.5 sacks, something along those lines. But then after that year was over, he went back to the Minnesota Vikings. I can't remember if they finished the season, but he wind up going back there, and then just, you know what happened after that, where so I'm not saying that Haason Reddick is Everson Griffin. It's just giving me those type of vibes, just like something is just not sitting right with me. So I'm pretty sure that he will not be a Detroit Lion. So this will be the last Haason Reddick video that I make, unless he is traded to the Detroit Lions. Or as far as this channel, I'll probably make some on my other channel talking about whatever's going on with him. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. This channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. Just a reminder, we are here in the studio tomorrow. We will be doing the pregame tailgate at 2:30. We'll be on from 2:30 to 3. We'll be live at 3:55 for the game. The post-game show will be happening 15 minutes after the game, and the phone lines will be open. I do have a new number. I'll put it on the screen. I got to do all that stuff tonight. So you guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. And as always, go Lions.